Hello.
I'm talking today with Dr. Dave Watts, who is an orthopedic surgeon in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and has been researching coronavirus a lot because you don't have as much to do these days, do you, Dave?
No, I don't. Our practice at this point has basically been limited to what would be called a urgent or emergent surgery. So that's the kind of stuff you see if you're doing call, like a bone sticking out of the skin, bad infection, a fracture that needs to be reduced because the person may not have a normal functioning limb afterwards, those type of procedures.
With your extra time, you've been learning a lot about coronavirus, right?
Yeah, one could argue, and my wife would probably argue, that I've spent an unhealthy amount of time researching this subject and posting on Facebook.
Yeah, which is why we're talking about this. But you did share something that caught my attention, which was that the World Health Organization, they had an interview, and Michael Ryan said some interesting things during that interview. Do you want to talk about that?
No, can you reference that a little more?
Yeah, okay. So that was where he had said that now, he talked about how we've moved the battle from the streets to the homes. So we're going to need to go into the homes and get family members.
That was a quote from that gentleman basically saying that if we have to, we're going to come into your house, we're going to seize your children, we're going to do whatever we have to do to get this virus stopped. I thought it was a fairly over-the-top statement, given the fact that if everybody's shelter in place, your children aren't going to be running about spreading the virus.
Right, and this wasn't just some random kook who was saying this.
No, this was one of the head guys
from the World Health Organization. Yeah. So as far as the virus goes, then, we have a lot of people who are still, like here in Minnesota, we have 57 deaths. We have a model that's predicting 22,000 deaths by July, which seems, I don't know what to call that. It's talk about doomsday predictions.
No, I haven't seen, was that put out by the state of Minnesota, their epidemiologist, or is that?
So as of now, the models that Tim Walz is our governor, and the models that he used to declare a shutdown through May 4th, he refuses to show them to us. So I have seen hand-drawn models that show 22,000 by July.
We had a very similar experience in our state. Our governor has told us that there's going to be 5,000 beds that are necessary, 1,300 ventilators. I don't think for 1,300, 1,800 ventilators, I don't believe they came out with a mortality estimate on that. But if you look at the numbers, 80% of the people that are on a ventilator die. So if you just take that gross number, you're probably looking at about 1,100, 1,000 people roughly. If you estimate a ventilator number, that's what they've been saying. Those numbers just do not add up. If you look at the IHME, that's what the federal government is using on their statistics, and even the IHME data has been fairly good as far as estimating how many deaths on a daily basis, but has grossly overrepresented the amount of resources that have been necessary.
Okay.
So if you look at New York, for instance, they were estimating that they would fill up approximately 110 to 120,000 hospital beds, and they ended up using about 25,000.
Okay.
So about a quarter of the resources they said were necessary.
That they said were needed?
Yeah, and in fact, Cuomo came out today and said he was fed the wrong information by the federal government. Whether that's a political statement or whether it could be both. It could be both a political statement and a factual statement in the sense that they're both true.
Yeah, and then you had also informed me, you've been keeping me so well informed on this, the Washington Field Hospital that you pointed out, where they set up it was like in a convention center in Washington, the military set up a field hospital and didn't end up using a single bed and then just dismantled it and went away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then just the other morning, a friend of mine is a nurse, or her sister is a nurse, and she's being asked to take a week off every month, and she is a respiratory therapist, no less. So you'd think of all the types of, like with all the specialties, a respiratory specialist would be the one who wouldn't be asked to take a week off every month unpaid, but she is.
Yeah, absolutely. They would be in the thick of it.
So, from what you can see, are you concerned that we're going to get the big tidal wave? Are you expecting, what do you think?
Well, it does. New York is definitely seeing a decrease in the amount of infections. I haven't looked up the specific data today. Unfortunately, my dogs woke me up at about 3 a.m. I had a nap this morning.
Okay.
But I'm a little on the tired side. But definitely the trend in New York has been the deaths have been decreasing, and the amount of people admitted also to the hospital has been decreasing. So it's good news. And as Cuomo came out today with the obvious statement is this looks like it was overrepresented to us.
Okay.
We believe that New York is going to be the worst case scenario in this country. There's no doubt about that. They have a population density, I looked this up, of 66,000 people per square mile. 66,000. If you look at other cities in the United States, for instance, Seattle is 7,000.
Oh, okay. Oh, geez,
LA
yeah.
and San Francisco run about 7,000 people per square mile. Sioux Falls is about 2,000 people per square mile. I'm not sure what Minneapolis is, but it's probably somewhere in between those two.
Yeah, probably something in between.
Yeah. So this virus definitely affects areas that have heavily densely populated areas. The Japanese came out with a study that demonstrated you have a 19 times higher infection rate if you're in a very crowded environment.
Okay.
19 times higher. So that's why we're seeing things like cruise ships, crowded factories, areas in New York. They're seeing the most extreme cases. Now, that doesn't explain everything. You've also got the factors of, some of these are big airport hubs. Obviously, there's a lot of tourists coming in and out of New York. There's a lot of travel. There's a lot of different factors involved, but there's also hugely densely populated areas. Washington State also had their cases, I believe, arise about the same time as New York, but they were a little quicker on the draw as far as keeping people in. So I'm not against a form of either stay at home or lockdown, but I think it has to be moderated to the environment that you live in.
Okay.
Like in New York, it makes sense, lock people down, because there's such a high rate of infection there. So I think this one-size-fits-all mentality that the governors and the states have had is really detrimental.
So have you looked into the statistics at all? I just see such weird numbers from, North Korea to, I don't know did you see that Israel is saying that they've had no deaths?
I actually looked that up this morning in the Jerusalem Post. They've had very few.
Okay.
Few deaths. They've had about 11,000 cases, and I think they reported 96 deaths.
Okay. But
Iceland has had approximately, well, this is data now because I looked it up recently. It's probably from 2 to 3 days ago. Has only had a few thousand cases and about 4 to 6 deaths.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So and they are not. They're not on a lockdown. They've done social distancing, and they've limited gatherings to 200 people.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard as much about Iceland. Everybody keeps talking about Sweden. So.
Yeah, and Iceland has done if you look at the stats, Iceland has done the heaviest testing of their population.
Oh yeah, I have heard that.
They're at about the last time I looked, they're at about 96,000 per million population. But my guess is they're over 100,000 right now. I'm sure that.
So when it comes to testing, what are your thoughts on what we should be doing?
Well, I think, again, you have to look at the area you live in. I think governors should be taking account to, let's take Minnesota, right? Minnesota is a state where we have a large urban population, and then you have a fairly rural population with some small scattered cities in between. So to take a small town and put it on a lockdown like you would Minneapolis, St. Paul, to me really doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It seems like overkill. The other thing is the timing of this. Like how long do we do these lockdowns? What's an appropriate amount of time?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in 3 weeks, looking at the economic indicators, I was startled to say the least. More than 1 in 10 Americans have lost their jobs just in the 3 weeks post-COVID. So just in those 3 weeks, more than 1 in 10 have lost their jobs. And then 43% of businesses are saying that they're going to have to close permanently they make up half of all employers in the United States. So when I do the math on how much potential unemployment we're looking at, and some people aren't even necessarily, like my uncle is, he's considered the best food photographer in the Midwest, and he runs a studio. He is not considered essential, so he's paying rent on his studio. He cannot make money and, can't go to work. So he's been forced out of work right now because of this. And all he does is go to his studio and come home. And that's not legal.
Yeah, I mean, that's another question too. Like, what type of liberties should have been limited? It would have been nice if there was a plan in place all prior to this.
Yeah. Well,
right?
It's a lot of picking and choosing. Like now the government gets to decide who's essential and who's not essential. That's, what kind of litmus test? How are they qualified to do that? How are they qualified to decide who's essential? Are you essential, Dave? I don't know. Are you? Yeah.
They're still running. We have these small casinos in Sioux Falls. There's over 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
And
well, liquor stores too. Open. Yeah, liquor stores are open because we all know. I don't think anybody's getting any argument about the liquor stores. So we all agree they're essential. If you had your magic wand, what would you change?
Okay, first thing, I have been utterly surprised how people have gotten behind a message without even questioning it in the least. I'm not talking about like a complete argument against it. I'm saying not even questioning this.
Right.
People online I've had people like be verbally abusive to me over the concept that we question how long we should stay in our homes.
Yeah.
They called me a bad person. They've called me a moron. They've called me a bully. I had one guy, all I did was list with stats. I showed pictures of stats.
Yeah.
A few comments. Nothing against him. And he literally said that I was going to cause his wife to die.
Yeah, well, stats are mean. Stats are cruel things. Yeah. No, it is turning into a weird world. I mean, that's what I noticed just going to Target, how much, just watching, because I don't go very often, so I've just watched the climate change just every couple weeks or how often I go. And just the most recent time I was there a couple days ago, it was hostile. It was very strange. All the masks, all the hostility. Like I said, I heard a guy walking by the end of the aisle and he just said, Democrats. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's interesting times.
It's very interesting, and it's, if you think about, and again, this goes into the conspiratorial realm. And a friend of mine pointed out this to me: if you want to control a population, you segmented people off so they're not going to talk to their neighbors.
Yes,
and then you impose rules on them.
Yeah, no, it looks. Yeah.
Question those rules, because my gosh, my neighbor is my enemy now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like because they found, because obviously being, like trying to exterminate, genocide just isn't popular anymore. Let's face it, it's just so last century.
That's yesterday,
yeah. So it's like now everybody's so afraid of getting sick, and there's so much fear anyway that it seems like they found their silver bullet. Like, what is the perfect thing to get tyranny going? It's the fear of illness. If that was a madman's goal.
The amount of ridiculous freedoms that have been lost, such as, there was a guy out in, I think it was California, he was paddleboarding by himself. He got arrested. There's somebody that was just in a park by themselves. People driving by themselves have been pulled over. Come on. Let's use a little bit of common sense on how we're going to impose our rules on society.
Right. And you'd think the fact that when they, the woman I saw in Pennsylvania, she went for a drive by herself. She got a $200 ticket for just going for a drive by herself, the fact that those things are in the news should make people think, hey, maybe it's not really about coronavirus. If somebody couldn't possibly give it to somebody anyway, why what they were doing? But the state got $200.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you very much.
The second thing that I've really struggled with is the amount of poorly put, or I'm not going to call it disinformation. I think it's a lack of education on journalists and bias as well that they've put in the headlines. And I'll give you an example. There was a baby in Baton Rouge that died at
Okay.
The mom came in with premature labor. She tested positive coronavirus. They attributed the death of the 21-year-old weak baby to coronavirus. Okay? Well,
right.
Maybe that put her into preterm labor.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Hard, yeah.
But that's not a child that was going to survive.
Right. Isn't like 22, what's the earliest survival? 22 weeks? Yeah.
When they're viable, but I think even at that age, that's kind of a struggle.
It's a dicey, yeah. No, and that's true. And so the headline read, coronavirus kills baby, or?
Basically, I mean, it implied that. It didn't come straight out and said that, but it was a strong implication that was the
Yeah.
issue.
Yeah, and it's like, so why is this particular thing? And that's what I've been asking with, like with CBS News using footage from New York, or, saying footage was New York City, but it was actually from Italy. Why? And then the nurse that they said was quitting, and she had quit a year earlier, but the video went viral, and then, things like this. It's like, since when would you, with other diagnoses, you would get a diagnosis? You wouldn't just say that, oh, they died of liver cancer. Yeah, because, it was close. I mean, we think, probably. I mean, it was close, right? Like, we don't need to. Coronavirus in particular, it's being allowed to sweep up a whole bunch of deaths that otherwise we would look at more carefully.
Correct. And Briggs herself came out within the last couple of days and said, we are being very liberal as to how we're counting the deaths. She said that herself. I mean, it wasn't taken out of context. It was her saying, like, we are counting anyone that we think has died or has any connection with this as a coronavirus death, regardless of whether they had coronavirus, their car was in an accident. I mean, it's almost at that point, right?
Yeah. Have you seen the meme of the skydiver? It says skydiver dives without parachute, has coronavirus, dies of coronavirus. Yeah.
So it's, we're just living in I've never seen anything like this.
No, I haven't either. Yeah, I do question too the people who don't seem concerned about hard economic times, because I grew up really poor and I know what it's like. I lived on peanut butter a lot of the time, and I feel like if you haven't scraped by, and I don't understand why people don't take it seriously, but they don't seem to be taking maybe because there's a delay. I don't know if they don't realize how bad it can get. That's all I can think is, like, they have no frame of reference for bad economic times.
The stats on the monetary stats are 50% of the population has less than $1,000 saved up.
Wow.
50%.
Wow.
12% of the people have enough savings to live off for 1 week. There's a good percentage that could live off in 3 months, but that's, I think, tapping in credit cards and other things and draining their savings or home equity line. If we're talking June, we've had March, April, May. If we get into June and this thing isn't going in the right direction, either from a lockdown standpoint or a recovery standpoint, I think we're going to see some major
civil unrest. We're already seeing, even now, we're seeing crazy food lines in San Antonio, in San Diego, in Florida. I've seen, food banks are just overrun. They've never seen more people showing up for food. So that's already the case, and it's only been a few weeks. So we weren't ready for this.
No, and this is another reminder to people that America needs a buffer, whether it's a corporate buffer or whether it's a personal family buffer. People need to start thinking about, I need 3 to 6 months or even a year's worth of saving. Saved up. Maybe I don't need that new boat. Maybe I don't need that new motorcycle. Maybe it would be more prudent to have some storage of food or other items. Toilet paper, for instance. I
know that one still blows. I never saw that coming. I really, didn't call that one, but toilet paper.
What's to me is you still go to the store and toilet paper is like you can't get
it. I can't get it. No, I keep going back, and I'm not gonna show up before they open and wait to go in the door just to get toilet paper, because I'm sorry, I can get by if I must. I don't consider it an essential. I'll live, but it is a weird one. So as far as other aspects of the economy, then if we start handing out $1,200 piece stimulus checks, of course, velocity goes through the roof. Do you have any thoughts on inflation?
Yeah, I think we're going to see an inflationary period that we've never seen in America before.
Yeah.
Food in particular, I think that's the first thing that's going to be hit is food. So we're going to see food prices soar through the roof in the next few months. Already in California and Florida, they haven't been able to harvest because the migrant workers that typically come in and do the harvesting have not been able to come and do it. So there's food literally rotting in the fields.
And so, but then you also see higher food prices, and we've been really hesitant to, I mean, we've had inflation in food for several years, but it's not even counted in CPI, which is ridiculous. So, we don't count food or fuel in the consumer price index. So then it looks like, hey, there's not much inflation. Don't worry. Never mind that, a can of soup costs you $100 now, but you can still get office supplies. So, and I don't know where the inflation will land. I didn't know it would land on toilet paper. But yeah, I'm kind of expecting the same thing, especially after everybody gets a stimulus check and most people will probably just spend that. So that sounds like a lot of money circulating.
Things that will become cheap by the end of the summer are people's toys. People will be ditching anything they can to provide for their families. So that jet ski, that boat, that
right.
They're going to get rid of those.
Right. I kind of wondered that too, but then it's like Craigslist, people are probably afraid to deal person to person right now. So I wondered if there'd be a lag on that. And then once people are just like, screw it, I need to pay my bills. And then they'll start showing up on Craigslist, the toys, like you said, and cash will be king. Cause if so there'll be like a deflationary period probably followed by inflation in the essentials. And we'll see how long that takes because there has been a real resistance. I mean, so far it seems like they would rather big box retailers would rather limit the number of items that you can purchase. So they would rather do rationing than increase the prices. But it's like at some point that pressure is going to get so much where I don't see how they're going to keep it up. Eventually they'll just have to hike up the prices.
Yeah, I agree with you. So inflationary period, I think in the near future, I think we're going to see gold and silver as real drivers. That's already started to show itself.
Yeah.
Over the last 3-4 weeks. Some of even with the pressure, I don't know if you knew this, but Russia actually stopped buying gold. So you would think Russia's been a major buyer in the gold market since 2010. They have something like 158 tons of gold.
Oh, wow.
155. It's a lot of gold that they bought, and they stopped buying because I think they know that that's going to skyrocket. So they don't want to buy at higher prices. They've already bought at the lower prices. Sure.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, did you see that there's talk of a U.S., so a Federal Reserve digital coin, so a Federal Reserve Bitcoin, and they're talking about having as their backing a $1 trillion platinum coin that they would mint because of course why would they go with gold when that's something I'd like to see. What does Fort Knox look like these days? You think there's a lot of gold in there?
I guess down a little bit.
Yeah, when Germany asked to see their gold supplies that we were holding for them, we said no. We said no. And I'm like, really? That's okay with you? If I was like, hey, can I see this thing you were hanging on to for me, my savings? And you just said no.
Nothing to see here, folks.
Yeah. I think I'd be mad. I think, just a guess, I'd probably be mad. But there wasn't much in the news about that. But anyway, so yeah, it made me wonder about platinum too.
And I think it was either I think it was the U.S. Mint was shut down or something like that, the gold mint. And so people were flying private planes over to London to pick up gold supplies. Like to keep
really?
Coming in. Yeah, there was some weird, I don't remember the specifics of the story, but it had to do with them flying private jets just to pick up gold that usually is transported in a normal fashion.
Okay.
A couple things. Number one, I'd like a deadline from the government. Just a deadline. Give me a specific date. I know that becomes a little bit difficult what we're dealing with, but it's analogous to if you're on the tarmac, right? If you've ever sat on a plane on the tarmac for any extended period of time, there's two types of pilots. There's the pilot that says, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some trouble with blah, blah, blah. It's going to be approximately 15 minutes and we'll be on their way.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's the guy that just does not give you any information.
You're just sitting there. Yeah.
And he says, we're going to be on the tarmac a little while longer. And he says that 22 times.
Yeah.
About the 22nd time, you're going insane because you just want an answer. You want a concrete answer of what's coming.
Right. And then you start getting in fights with people. And then the kids start screaming and then the fights break out. Yeah. And so it is easy to see how the uncertainty would pile on as far as civil unrest or potential civil unrest goes too. To your point earlier.
That's the biggest issue I personally deal with. The second is I think the general population has absolutely no idea what's coming economically.
Right. Right.
They are completely in the dark.
Yeah, I tend to agree. That's that makes two of us. Not everybody's, not everybody's
V-shaped recovery, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be more like this, going down.
Yeah. But anyway, well, it was good picking your brain. Thanks for doing this, and yeah, appreciate all the information. It's been good food for thought following your posts.
I will keep them coming. Thanks, Hannah.
Okay, thanks. Bye.